Hello, this is Grace Nasralla. Today I have with me Rosanna Penilla-Bharucha, a serial entrepreneur and a very good friend. I take pride in her friendship and I learn from her experience as an entrepreneur. Thank you for accepting to be with me, Rosanna.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Grace, for inviting me to join you today and to have a little chat about how life is going on during this pandemic lockdown quarantine time. And I'm very happy that I can share this special moment with you.
Rosanna, today I would like us to learn from your vast experience in entrepreneurship. But I'm going to start by asking you to tell us a little bit about your childhood and adulthood.
Oh, okay. This is really nice. As a child, I would like to share that I have six other siblings, being the eldest in the family. My parents are the ones that made all of us, and have we have now, you know, living in different countries. But as a child, I have I have a very fond memories of growing up, despite of you know at the time we do not live like how we are now, but I know that my mom and my dad did very well in putting the food on the table, and not only that, by also helping us understand um, what life is all about. And the very one good thing that I do remember is that I've seen my parents as kind, loving, and very compassionate.
Rosanna, did your upbringing prepare you for entrepreneurship? Because you've been successful in doing that so far.
You know, when I was just about 5, 6 years old, I saw my parents working um, like side by side. So my dad was doing something and my mother was doing something, but basically I learned from my mom. My mom had a small booth, or like we call it stall in the market, and she used to sell fruits. And at the time, because I was small, all that I had to do was to clean the fruit, and then she would display them. And sometimes the other task that I had to do is to hand her a bag so we can put the fruit that had been, purchased by her customers. So I've seen how my mom used to, talk to her customers, and as well as making sure that the display was beautiful, presentable, that the table was always organized, things like that. And growing up, when I started my small business as a student, I remember what my mom would always say to her customers, and she would say, "So, what can I give you today?" She's not telling them, "What would you like to buy today? What can I give you today?" I think I'm maybe expressing this in English in a different way, but in the Philippines, uh, you know, the translation of what she's saying is like, like, what can I give you today? Or what can I offer you today?
Yeah, yeah.
And all the fruits were there: oranges, apples, watermelon, pineapples, and all that. Um, and I remember also one thing is that, we used to make bags out of newspapers, and she would make a paste out of starch. Okay. and I would paint it with brush. The paper, she would cut it, and I would fold it, and I have a homemade paste,
Mm.
and I would brush it on to the paper, newspaper, and it will become a bag.
Wow.
So that's where we put all the fruit that got sold, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. Everything is so basic,
Yes.
but the knowledge of looking after your customer, it was already there.
Mm. Yes.
That was the best part that I got from my mom, because as uh, all of us know, during that time, not very many reach higher education. My mom was only a high school graduate, to be honest with you. My father, I think so, he had a 1 year in university taking accounting. But more than that, everything was learned from the facts of life. Everything was learned from the the struggle, the hardship, the survival of the fittest. That's how it was at that time.
Mm. Yeah. Well, it's nice to remember childhood, huh? And the things we learned from our parents.
And I think all of us have a different stories, but our family story is the first story that will help you in finding your own story. It will all be based on how you were growing up, how you were taught by your parents, how you have become responsible to things that you were assigned to do. We were growing up like children, we can play, but at the same time, we were growing up with lots of responsibilities because they were both working. One of my siblings actually stayed at one time in the hospital for 9 months. And of course, I was like the daughter, the mother, and the helper in the house at the age of 6, 7 years old.
Mm.
I
That
was looking
teaches a
after
lot.
my own siblings while they were away. These days, you can't you can't have any child, being at home. We grew up like we have no nanny or someone looking after us when we were small. We look after each other as siblings,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and we clean the house too.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
We were so afraid at that time that when the parents come and we were told to, like, empty the garbage or sweep the floor, if we haven't done that, they might get upset. So we try to help by just taking away these household chores, not to be another thing that they have to take care of when they arrive home. Because honest to goodness, we are six, seven in the family, six now because one has passed away. But I mean, like, yeah, six children.
Well, that definitely teaches responsibility.
I'm telling you, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, Rosanna, as a serial entrepreneur, how many businesses did you start and sell so far?
Oh my gosh. If we have to count one in the Philippines as a student, a working student, you know, I I work for a Japanese bookstore at the age of 17, and because I wanted to be a self-supporting student, I did not ask my parents to pay for my university, and I wanted to go to university. So I work at that time, being sort of an interpreter, because at the time as well, I was very fluent in Japanese language. I studied Japanese language. In the Philippines, by the way, we grew up, learning English from school, right from kindergarten. There's always English, but of course, many Filipinos speak English in Filipino accent.
Mm.
Okay, but yeah, we Filipinos are basically, you can call, English speaker for most of us. Um, and then we had Spanish. So when I was growing up, I was speaking at home a little bit of English and Tagalog, the national language of the Philippines. And then we were taught Spanish from high school to university. So I had 7 years of Spanish with me. And then I went to take a special program in Japanese language for 2 years.
Mm.
So at the age of 19, I was speaking 4 or 5 languages.
Wow.
Yes, and of course, after that, uh, I went to I went to Dubai. I went to Dubai. Um, I would like to mention that to answer your question about what was my first. So I did on the side. Now in these days you call it as gigs. So I was also doing tour guide. So that was my extra money so that I can support myself to pay my tuition. And that was good extra money. And the other thing that I did at that time, I had a little store which I kind of like worked with my cousin. And we were selling Fruit of the Loom t-shirts, Hanes
Wow.
t-shirt, Gloria Vanderbilt pants. I was 18, 19 years old. So I like those fashionable imported pants, t-shirts, and things like that.
Yeah.
So I got involved in that, and we had a little store somewhere in the kind of like northern part of the Philippines, not far from where I was. It's probably like about an hour and a half drive. But just it's just because it was closer where we were sourcing the products were actually very near to the American base.
Oh,
Yes. So that helped me. I used to sell those t-shirts and pants and purses, whatever,
yes.
that we got from the base, the American base, and sold it to my classmates. So in the university. So that's how I made extra income. So
Well,
that was first
yeah.
on my own. Then I took a bold step to go into Avon
Well,
Cosmetics. That's why I love cosmetics.
yeah, yeah.
So I did cosmetics or skincare with Avon, I think for about 3 years. So I was one of their top sellers on the first year. I had 72 sales ladies under me. I didn't even
Wow.
know what multi-level marketing was. All I know is that to form your group. You know, these days you talk about these terms. During that day, we don't talk about that. We're just sales associate and things like that. So yes, I led a group of 72 ladies. We were the top sellers in my area, and of course, I learned how to put incentives together. I did presentation. I was doing the demos and all that, and that I was like 19 years old.
Wow.
And I passed it on to my sister when I went to Dubai.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now uh, in Dubai, what adventure did you go into in
The
terms?
Dubai was almost like I was uncertain about going. I had a friend who actually worked for the doctor that I eventually worked for, and they were looking for someone who can be the admin manager of the it's like a polyclinic. There were like about 9 doctors in there or 8 doctors, I think. Um, so what happened was I was called and I was offered a job, and so I said I was going to go for 1 year because prior to that I also was working for a marketing company of radio and TV station,
Mm,
and I used to work for the priests. They are Catholic station,
mm.
and I was I was happy with that, and I was paid salary and commission. So age 20, 21, I always have 2 or 3 things I'm doing at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm always that hyperactive. So I saw that at that time I think I was just very lucky because the money that I was making was for like high executives, those who are established already. So I was hesitant to go to Dubai, but then I know the employer because I met him in Dubai, and so of course my friend was also working there, and they said please try for 1 year. If you want 1 year, okay, 1 year. So I went with the intention of just doing 1 year and going back home. After that, guess what? I ended 15 years in that place.
Wow, 15
Yeah,
years.
15 years because things have changed. When when I came to Dubai, I was 21, 22 years old, and it opened so many doors for me. I've seen so many different things. I've seen people of different languages, culture. I fell in love with the ethnicity, the food.
Yes,
The food, of course, as
yes.
you know, I love Arabic food. And there's just too many things that taught me there's life outside the Philippines,
Mm,
right?
yes, yes.
There's life outside what I was doing because before I went to university, I had a dream of becoming a nurse.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay. And I didn't go because my dad said, if you become a nurse, then all of your other siblings will not be able to go to school because it's an expensive, you know, course. And that's the reason why I said, okay, then in that case, you will not have any problem paying for my tuition. I will work
Mm,
and I will do. But when I went to university, because I didn't want to skip any school year. When I took for the first time, I took only a 2 year course, which I changed on the second year. And I'm sure some of our students here or families, sometimes some students can would change from maybe one course to the other, and that happened to me. So, but mine was from 2 year course. I took
mm,
the business, uh, concentrating on marketing for 4 year course.
mm.
And yeah, and that's why I was supposed to do 4 years, but because I was a working student, so it took me a little bit longer than that. Anyhow, in Dubai, so many opportunities came, so many new skills I learned, and I learned Arabic, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Yes, when I take a language, I always go for speaking, writing, and reading. So it's not enough to just be speaking. I always love to write, and I really enjoyed, you know, doing the calligraphic Arabic writing, and I did all the signs that
Oh,
from my work, and
Arabic writing is difficult. It's not easy.
oh, but I love it. It's like drawing for me, just like the Japanese. I read, speak, write as well, right? So even now I can still read Japanese. So what I'm trying to say is that, you know, I think I made it very interesting for me, whatever that I did, just because I was hungry to learn and I was probably very ambitious. I would like to use
Yeah,
that word because I was.
yeah,
I I want to be this. I want to do this. And I don't settle for anything less. I want to excel.
yeah,
I always challenge myself that if something I can't learn, at least I must try.
yeah.
Only when I could not really do it well, then I will drop it. But maybe I'll come back later, right? Like what you
Rosanna,
see these days.
yeah.
Like what you
Rosanna,
see these days that I'm doing.
yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. But I have a question for you now. How did you manage to build a customer base in the different cultures you've been in so far? You know, building a customer base is not easy, even in your own culture. So, how were you able to manage building a customer base in the different cultures you've been in?
Okay, so a lot of people may not like this idea, but I'm telling you, this is 100% effective. I like events. I go to events. Okay, that's how I meet people. I make friends, real friends, like us, like how it happened to us, how we met, right? Networking is very big for me. I like meeting people, whether on the phone, whether a networking event, whether it's an occasion or whatever. And this is the reason why I expanded my network. And I don't only go to a business networking event. I go to charity events,
Mm,
right? I go for interviews where I meet people, right? I go for like that I had a home care for seniors as well at
yes.
one point of my life, which I ran for 6 years. So um, during that time, I met people from the healthcare,
Mm,
right?
yes.
Because we used to attend meetings. I used to talk to hospitals, to the region, to ministries, and things like that. So that's how I kind of like branch out to so many different places and met people, not because um, I was thinking that they could be part of my business, but I was thinking that uh, I can learn from them as well.
Mm,
And by that, I was able to establish friendship. So I learned from them, they learned from me. And then we just found out that, we're sending referrals to each other,
mm,
right? Or they're supporting the events, or somehow I can help them and, connect with other people. So I became a connector as well. So networking is number one, and then of course remembering the special days of the people that you meet. I like creating cards and sending them cards or bringing something to them. I like surprising them with a hello. Um, and of course, for me, I like to send them an email as well
mm.
and offer support all the time. I offer support. That's
Yeah.
all.
What other marketing tactics have you used or tools have you used so far to promote your business?
I did a lot of emailing, right? And of course, I've used Facebook a lot in promoting my business, but um, I attended a lot of events.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
events, you would put the events as the number one venue for bringing in customers, right?
Not bringing customers, but connecting because you do not know
Uh,
where it will be. So usually, when I meet one, after 2 months or sometimes after 6 months, they would call me, said, "Hey, Rosanna, you remember when, we met at so and so place, and you mentioned to me that da da da. Are you still doing that?" Surprisingly, suddenly I have a business. So some people would be looking to have a business right away. No, just build a relationship, and you will know what will happen because I'm at that point now. I don't even advertise.
mm,
You wouldn't see me advertising anything, but I trust the referral system.
yes. Yeah.
I do a lot of referrals. I give them back their business as well. So that way, it is a what you, reciprocal. You're reciprocating
Yeah.
and appreciating, the value of referrals. People would like to see too that you're doing something for them,
Yes.
right?
And Rosanna, like you haven't stopped so far. Last year, as I know, you have started a new venture. Tell us about it.
I actually had stopped for a little bit and was concentrating on some events and things like that while I was trying to probably find what I want to do. So, two things happened to me last year. Um, I went through a lot. By the way, I don't want to forget telling people this because in business, there will be some highs and lows, and some days it will be more challenging than the others. You will meet all kinds of people, okay? Some people that will help you go up, some people that would like to take you down, and things like that. I'm not presenting negativity here, but this is the truth, okay? And I've learned a lot from those because it costed me some money as well, okay? Um, but one good thing is that you learn. Being in business is a a training ground. You learn as you go,
Yeah.
right? So you take with you what works
Yes.
for you. So I thought of planning for my retirement, and I had an idea of going back home, taking care of my retirement life there. But then I still have my son who just entered university. And of course, I have only two, so I have to make sure that I give a fair attention. If I gave the first one lots of attention and then the second one I won't be there, I just didn't feel right about it. So I said, okay, I'll stay and do something here. So last year I was looking for something that I can do between the Philippines and Canada, and I happened to find SMDC, which is one of the largest developer of luxury resort condos in the Philippines. And I was just thinking of, investing with them, but I ended up becoming their sales associate. And luckily, I was able to sell some properties to some foreigners who's right here in Canada.
That's
And
amazing.
then, yeah, and then in I think so in January or February, I forgot now, somewhere in the first quarter of the year, they offered me to become their international broker here in Canada.
Wow.
Yeah, so they gave me training, and I was trained for a couple of months, knowing the ins and outs of the business, the system, and all that. And I think about 3 months, and I'm still learning. For goodness sake, it's a lot to learn because there are over 60 plus luxury condos on pre-construction stage. So I took that, and right now I am one of their international broker in Canada, and it's very easy to get information from me if anyone is interested with their $600, to invest on a monthly basis. But what it is that this is some sort of like for me to be able to help my fellow Filipinos to start investing their hard-earned money, and as well as for those who I know who here in Canada would be impossible for them to own um, um, a, a unit or a condo unit, but I will be at this time I will be able to offer them something really very nice, very luxurious looking property. Right behind me, if you can see, that's one of the units that or properties that I'm actually offering with swimming pool and all that. So alongside with that, because this has been what's happening to me since I came to Canada 25 years ago, is about helping out newcomers, right? And I think you must have heard this story from me before. When I came to Canada, I started a settlement services for newcomers, for newly landed immigrants.
Yes.
But of course, through the years, I've been into different businesses. I had a childcare, I had a home care. I flip homes, I buy and sell homes, and all that. I rented cottage rentals and things like that also here in Canada.
A
So what I'm
resort.
trying, Yeah, I had one property out there in the northern part of Muskoka. So anyhow, what I'm trying to say is that there is that something that you always wanted to do, and it's something like it's always lingering around you. And I've been so involved in 2017 to now with my immigrant story. So a lot of people also have been asking about, how can I help them, to apply for, immigration or sponsorship and things like that. And as you will remember, we also tried to do something with international students at one point in time. You remember that?
Yes,
So it's always like it's coming up all the time. So last year I decided to go back to school, and I'm very proud of myself that I am now at my last week and graduating uh, by this month. I don't know what and how, given the situation. So I have taken immigration consultant program, and looking forward to opening my own office next year.
that is amazing. That is amazing, Rosanna. That's an achievement. That's a great achievement.
Thank
A
you, Grace.
milestone.
Yeah, so education is nonstop. It's endless. You can start at any time. I didn't know that I will be going back to to study after 40 years, but I thought that if I would not do it today, that is something that I will be always looking for that I have not done, and I don't want to regret this time that I can do it. Well, I can do it. And thankfully, and I'm not saying this, I mean, cheerfully, but I am thankful that given the situation, from March to now, we were doing distance learning. So it did not affect me at all to kind of like delay the plans and things like that. Um, and I think so by next week, it will be more uh, clear that we have what you call it, we have more businesses opening, and so therefore my exams for to get the license to become an registered immigration consultant will be right there as per schedule.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Rosanna. Rosanna, what's your advice for entrepreneurs that are facing difficulties during this COVID-19 crisis?
You know, do the best you can. Like, I will just talk about how I'm handling these things, right? For me, what I have done with my time is I have made my own like schedule every day and what I have to do. So part of that schedule is not just studying for the course that I'm taking, but also reaching out to some more investors and also learning how to use other apps. Okay, because it's important for us to always update ourselves with the situation these days. Everybody must know how to use computer and some other uh, telecommunications or these virtual meetings and all that, right? And I guess not knowing these things at this time when this is the only way to communicate and being in business, is not an excuse because you have time to learn, right? And the other thing too is, you have to stimulate your brain. And I've used for creativity, um, baking, for example. So I've been
Yes.
posting a lot of my baking. Some are first time try, and some I have done already in the past. And I've always liked, um, preparing or cooking food that's what's available in the fridge. I don't make plans of what to make. What I see is what I will do. What I have is what I will use. And so this way, I don't get stressed out.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get stressed out. Like I run out of yeast, so I research it that I can do wild yeast. I can grow it from home, and now I have so much yeast.
Be creative. Be creative. And bringing
Yeah,
out
be
these
creative.
hobbies
Yeah,
help, definitely help. Yeah.
it really helps, especially and finding an outlet to lower the tension. Because I read about um, uh, three modules of our studies almost in a week.
Wow.
That's a lot,
Lots
and
of
plus
reading.
exam presentation and all that is, immigration law is not easy. Okay, very very complicated matter. So but I enjoyed my time with my classmates, with our instructor, and all the cases that we've handled. And now I'm enjoying myself with the internship that I'm doing. But most of all, I'm enjoying the food that I bring to the table, from my garden to the table. I started gardening too. I never was. I didn't even try before how, to do gardening. And because my experience is that I kill all the plants. Anything that comes to my home, it just died. Like on the second day, they die. I don't know why. Maybe my hands are too hot because I'm always cooking. Yeah. But that's how it is, right? So you have to do what you have to do and enjoy what you do, right?
Yes. Well, what two tips would you give entrepreneurs, would you leave with entrepreneurs as we end our session now?
Well, the best word is don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. This is just a temporary time of, changes. Okay. And take advantage of this time that you can actually use to equip yourself, to educate yourself, to acquire new skills, to be playful, enjoy your family.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I cannot complain.
Well, thank you, Rosanna. Thank you so much for agreeing to be with me today and sharing your story and sharing your experiences. One of the things you mentioned that is very important for entrepreneurs is learning, I noticed, right? So, throughout your life, you always mention that you learned through the stage that you're passing through. So, thank you for sharing with us today, and
Most welcome.
hopefully we'll get to learn more about your experiences with immigration in future sessions that we'll do together.
Of course, I'm willing to share and help those people who would like to find out how to come to Canada.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rosanna.
and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you for being with me as I hosted Rosanna Penilla-Bharucha, a serial entrepreneur. And I look forward to shed light on different entrepreneurial experiences in the near future.